me and Mob James had an interview about this yesterday. Yeah. We were talking about it. Like, everyone knew who Orlando was. Mm-hmm. This guy was a hitter. Yeah. This guy was being investigated for multiple murders. He was a shooter. This was not a soft guy. Yeah. Pac had no business running up and punching this guy. Mm-hmm. None at all. Not him. Maybe one of the death row guys, one of the Mob Piru guys might have taken upon themselves, but even they wouldn't have done that. Not in the middle of a fucking MGM, Mike Tyson post-fight, everything's packed. Suge Knight is on probation. They're in a fucking war with
There's
Bad Boy.
There's an understanding. There's a street
hundreds of millions of dollars are being made. And I remember like watching the Suge Knight documentary, American Nightmare, with Antoine Fuqua did. And Suge said right after the fight, he looked at Pac and said, "Okay, you're hot. You're hot in music right now. Now you're gonna be hot in the streets." Mm-hmm. And that lasted all of maybe 2 hours until he got killed. Yeah. Being hot in the streets. Huh? Because those guys went and got some guns and retaliated instantly. Yeah. Because that's what they do. This is what they do for a living. Right. Pac does movies and raps for a living. These guys actually go and shoot people for a living. And that's all they do morning till night. Yeah.
So, I grew up with those type of people. I know the predator mindset. I grew up with that. And so you recognize it like from across the room. And the weirdest thing, like I told you before, is that I'm embraced by those people because they rely on their instinct and they can check you for a second and go, no, he's a veteran. So they can tell that. I can tell that when I even see it,
Yeah, I remember reading an interview recently with Will Smith, and they were at the BET Awards, and Will saw Michael Jackson for the first time, and he was like, "Oh, I got to meet this guy." But Mike had a bunch of people around him, and then, sure enough, Suge Knight was there. And got into some altercation in the middle of the BET Awards. Mm-hmm. So Will Smith's security grabbed him and threw him in like a janitor closet, to just separate him from whatever potential shootout or ruckus was about to happen. And as he's looking around the janitor closet, Michael Jackson's in the same janitor closet as him, right? So they started talking. And in the conversation...
I never heard this. That's hilarious.
Yeah. And in the conversation, they started talking about Suge Knight, and they both agreed that he caused a lot of trouble. Michael Jackson said, Suge just can't figure out how to be happy. Mm. Just can't figure it out. All the millions of dollars, the accolades, the fact that you built this company out of nothing. Death Row was just an idea in your head, and you somehow managed to finagle your way to partner with the greatest hip-hop producer of all time. And you guys go and get some of the greatest hip-hop artists ever on the label. And then you get 2Pac on top of that. Like, you have everything going for you. There is no reason why you need to do anything to jeopardize this bag of money that's coming every day. Like, look at, for example, TDE. These guys, Top from, who heads TDE is a blood. He comes from that same environment. You never hear anything going wrong with TDE. You never hear of people getting beat up. You never hear of shootings. You never hear of no one's gotten killed on that label. Mm-hmm. You really just, it's run like a professional organization because they have Kendrick and they know that, you think that someone let Kendrick go and punch somebody? You think that they let Kendrick go punch Drake or something when they're beefing? Like, fuck out of here. Like, this is our golden goose. This guy's going to be protected at all costs. Yeah. You're not going to let him punch somebody? Like,
yeah, so, but that wasn't part of his brand, So if this is part of your brand, is violence and everything else, and you're trying to walk the walk, that's what's happening. And I feel like, hey, if there's something deep down inside you, you feel like you're unworthy of it, you're going to sabotage yourself. Yeah. You are going to sabotage yourself because you don't feel that you're worthy of success. That goes for a lot of folks out there.
Yeah.
If you really deep down don't think you're worthy of happiness, you're not going to have it. You will sabotage yourself every way you can.
Yeah, I remember when I interviewed Jamel Hill, and she said that the reason why she thinks so many professional athletes go broke is there's a certain level of survivor's remorse. Where they grew up in this environment where everyone's broke, no one has anything, and they just won the genetic lottery ticket.
This is the hard part for Black athletes, is that they are really stuck between two worlds. It's the world they came with, it's the world they came from, who these are the people for them that have held them down when they didn't have the ability to pay dinner for everybody. They feel a twisted sense of loyalty to them. These are also the people who, if they tried to create some distance, would tell them, oh, you've changed. Oh, you're not the same person.
Yeah.
So many of us feel a lot of pressure to stay connected. And that's not to say that everybody that you came up with, that you have to immediately distance yourself from. That's not what I mean. It's just that you're gonna have people that are in your life who really are only there for what you can give them. And you gotta weed those people out. Even if it means to other people, it looks like you're turning your back on folks. Because regardless of how they may have supported you, you're the one with the talent. You're the one with the most to lose, not them.
Mm-hmm. You know, because most times, most professional athletes were like superstars from like 6, 7 years old. Like it was very clear what was about to happen. Yes, you can pick out certain people that just worked so hard that they just got to these stellar levels. But in general, these guys were already superstars in, elementary school, junior high. They were just born a certain type of way. Like look at, John Bones Jones. Like look at him. Like look at the way his body is built. Like you can't train yourself into that.
Right.
When you look at Michael Phelps, he's just a mutant.
Yeah.
Obscenely large hands, like gigantic arms, huge wingspan. Yeah, he's going to win all these gold medals. You can't train yourself to be a Michael Phelps.
Right.
You have to already be born that way and then train on top of that. So these guys grow up in these environments, they get all this money and they almost feel bad. So they go and fuck it all up.
Because there's a truth that they have to be faced with. The truth is you're not better than someone else just because you had these accolades. And if you are living in an untruth, the truth is going to hit you in the face. Okay, you've got all these people telling you you're wonderful because that's kind of how they're conditioned to behave. Well, you're not living in the truth. So it's going to be a time where it's going to hit you when when you've kind of built yourself up to believe the world that you created around yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the rug gets pulled out and it's like you're faced with who you really are.
Yeah. I mean, for example, like you look at Tekashi right now. He's been completely silent for like a month. No social media posts, whatever else. He was like the hottest thing smoking, 2 years ago. Then he gets locked up, tells on everybody.
Yeah.
Hands out almost 100 years, gets out and went right back to what he was doing, but it didn't work out this time around.
Yeah.
The albums didn't sell. They found out the views were fake. He tried to finagle the system. It didn't work. No one really listened to the music. And now he just have to realize, well, he's probably just a has-been artist who's snitched on everyone who, when the money's dwindling, he may not be able to afford all that fancy security anymore.
All of this stuff, all of this trappings of fame and all that stuff, and the material stuff, that's just basically the devil, basically. Because if you believe that makes your life better, oh my God, you're in for a really rude awakening. It's this fame stuff and making you think that, okay, because you're on this screen, you're better than someone else. Every ounce that you believe in that, you're going to pay for.
Right.
it's gonna be measured in your misery.
Yeah.
And it's like, I remember this. It was like a little documentary I saw a long time ago, where some of the first people who were like reality stars on American Bandstand, right? Way
okay.
back in the day.
All right.
Well, they're dancing basically for free.
Yeah.
On TV, and they become a big deal. Their peers are going on to college and becoming doctors and whatever, but they are dancing on TV till that runs out, right? They're big deals in the town, and now then after that, then they're like showing up at car dealership openings or whatever. And while everyone else has gone on and have productive lives, they come back, hey, you're so-and-so. Yes, would you like some mustard with your... So this is like, if you look at that, it's like, that's a microcosm of what's gone on. You think about a lifespan. You want your life to continue to go this way.
Yeah.
Learning, providing for your family, all that type of stuff. Just because you're famous for a little bit, if you're famous for 10 years, you are way ahead of the curve.